Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the South Sacramento Flora and Community AB 617 Technical Advisory Design Team meeting. My name is Janice Lamb-Snyder. I'm with the Sacramento Air Quality District, and I am going to for tonight, we will be recording this meeting and posting it onto our website. With that, I'm going to pass it over to Mr. Vincent Valdez, who is our TAG design team lead.
Okay, everybody, I had to stop and get some notes. We're going to do our open the meeting. It looks like everybody's getting in just fine. And we'll do a introduction and check-in. So I'm Vince Valdez with the United Latinos Environmental Justice Committee and the TAG lead person right now. And let's see, we can go right down the, and if you want to unmute yourself, you can. Katie Smith.
Hi, my name is Katie. I'm with Breathe, California. I'm just sitting in today observing how the meeting is.
Thank you. Pat.
Hi, thanks for, I'm here and glad to be here tonight.
Karen.
Hi, Vince. Karen Buckley, CARB in Office of Community Air Protection.
Janice.
I'm Janice Lamb-Snyder with the Sacramento Air District, Program Manager over the AB 617 Community Air Monitoring Plan.
Mark.
Hi, Mark Loudsnizer, Division Manager, Sacramento Air Quality Management District.
Victoria.
Hello, Victoria Vasquez. I'm with a community resource organization called the Sacramento Tree Foundation.
Julia.
I'm Julia Gowan. I'm the Regional Urban Forester for CAL FIRE.
Samar.
Hello, Samar Lichtenstein from CARB's Environmental Justice Team.
Dave.
Hi, Dave Ridley from CARB's Monitoring and Laboratory Division. Thanks, Vincent.
Duyen Kaufman. Did I say your name right?
It's actually pronounced Zuen. The D is like a Z in Vietnamese, but thank you for asking. And I am from the Office of Environmental Health Hazard Assessment in the Safer Alternatives Assessment and Biomonitoring section.
Awesome. Eric.
Hello, I'm Eric Dissinger with CARB in the Enforcement Division.
Okay, you're awesome too, Eric. Adrian.
Hey, Adrian Wren with Valley Vision. Excited to participate in the meeting.
Thanks for joining, Adrian. Patrick.
Hey everyone, Patrick Isle, Breathe, California.
Oh, thanks for coming. Thank you. I appreciate everybody for coming and being on our meeting. We're going to be moving right along, and with Janice's help, we're going to be looking at the consolidation of some of the different categories. Last month when we met, we talked about a bunch of different categories. I'm sorry, and Janice had me a public service announcement to make. To participate, please raise your virtual hand. On Zoom web application, press the raise your virtual hand button, which is on the bottom of your screen somewhere under the, I can't see it because my other screen is up.
It's under the participants.
Under the participants, thank you. And okay, great. And then you click that, and then there's all raise hand, yes, no, go slower, go faster buttons to hit. But if you want to participate, please hit the raise hand button, and we'll know that you would like to speak. If you're on the phone, you'll have to dial *9 to raise your virtual hand button for us on our screen. And I believe we have a few people on the phone. Please state your name and your affiliation when you before you speak, so we'll know who you are and who you're representing.
And then in order to unmute yourself on the phone or the application, please press *6 to do that.
Thank you, Janice. I was reading that when you I was like, what's this one here?
So *9 to raise your hand and *6 to unmute yourself
When you're on the phone.
when you're on the phone.
Okay. All right. Moving right along. Okay, so the different categories that we came up with last month, and so there's air monitoring, chemical analysis, and air emission sources. Public health, data simulation, statistician and economist, land use, urban planner, environmental justice / social justice advocates, school district representatives, local organizations representing the community, and we were interested in youth input, and grid business representation. So those are some of the different categories that we had, and I don't know if we have any discussion or anybody has any input on how they are put together right here, or do we want to separate some, or are there areas that we need to still include in here? Anybody have suggestions?
This is Pat Shelby speaking. I did wonder about transportation, since the area is full of large truck distribution centers, and we're between the highways. So I was wondering about transportation and its contribution to air toxics.
Do you think we could add transportation to land use and urban planner? Or does it need to be a standalone category?
I don't know. It may in fact fall under those. I would need to know the qualifications or how a person would define that. It very well may fall into, especially under land use, transportation corridors may fall into that.
Anybody else have any other suggestions or ideas or thoughts? Juan, are you in the meeting now?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Thank you for joining us.
Yes, apologies for the tardiness. Yeah, thanks for sharing. Apologize for running in here late, but happy to join and looking forward to working with you all.
We just happened to be talking about transportation in our categories of the technical advisory group categories of expertise. And so we were thinking of including transportation with the land use and urban planners. Do you feel that's a good spot to go in, or is it a standalone category?
They go hand in hand. I mean, transportation is inevitably connected to the land use and the layout of the land. So I think this could possibly be, a tag team, because inevitably whatever happens in land use and urban planning is going to affect the routes within transportation and the overall outcome of transit.
Okay, good. All right. So are we in agreement with the transportation? I'm looking at the air monitoring, chemical analysis, and air emissions sources. Is that a lot in one category? And can we have somebody, maybe Dizin Coppin, do you have anything you can say about that? Or maybe Eric?
This is when I do not, I'm actually part of the biomonitoring section. So that's monitoring chemicals in people. We sometimes look at air monitoring to help interpret biomonitoring results, but so I don't have anything to come on for that particular category.
Are you looking for a contact person?
No, we're just kind of looking to see what kind of these categories, are they put together well? Do they need to be, are there any standalone categories that we need? And I'm just looking at air monitoring, chemical analysis, and air emission sources. Is that a good category, or should it be broken down maybe?
Yeah, I could see how they relate, but yeah, I'm unfortunately not an expert on air monitoring.
Okay, your expertise was
I'm like enforcement and mobile.
enforcement. Yes, thank you.
Yeah, mostly in mobile sources. And
Vincent, this is Mark, if I may. I think it just sort of depends upon the person. You know, it's definitely one of those things, as Eric just mentioned, they can definitely be interrelated. They also can be so detailed that you may have like an expert in each and every one of those areas. So I think it just really depends. If you bring in someone who's general enough, they may be able to help out across the category as it's written right now. But it's also one of those that you can easily break them down to. So it's really more a matter of preference.
All right, so I think we can leave that one alone as well then. Zillion, where does bio monitoring fit into our category list?
So I work for OEHA, but I'm part of Bio Monitoring California, which is a joint project of the Department of Public Health, which is the lead, and then OEHA, and then the Department of Toxic Substances Control. So, you know, I feel like you kind of, I mean, you know, public health kind of covers that, and then, you know, OEHA does also air monitoring. So I feel like it's not really a separate category in terms of your tag. I mean, it's something, you know, we want to just make sure we're you know, keeping in touch and tracking your progress, you know, all of the different AB 617 communities actually, as we, you know, plan our activities in terms of the Biomonitoring California program in general. And then we also have some you know, we're going to be supporting the implementation or of AB 617 in general, like helping CARB, just trying to add some value. So, yeah, I don't see that there's a specific need for someone, you know, for someone specifically for biomonitoring to be on your tag.
Okay, thank you.
No, thank you.
I think data simulations, that statistician and economist kind of is self-explanatory. Are there any other categories we need to look at? Anybody have anything, suggestions or comments?
This is Victoria at Zach Tree Events. I've got a question. I had my hand raised, but I'm not quite sure who's checking it.
Yeah, who's checking the hands anyway? Is that you, Janice?
I can try. I'm trying to take notes and
Oh, okay.
people also look at the hands too.
Tell you what, Vincent, Janice, I'll take a look for the hand raised.
Okay.
Okay, I see it. I see it now. So, okay, all right. I'm sorry.
Okay, hi.
Hi.
Hey, I'm just wondering if we're talking about implementation, where our urban forestry would go when we're talking about emission reductions and sequestering reductions, where would that fall? Which category would urban forestry fall into?
I could pick that one up. I'm going to suggest urban planning. Would that, does anybody have any other ideas, or is there a standalone category for that as well? But I do believe in urban planning. I see it in there anyway, myself, as well as being a local organization as well, which, you know, I'm really encouraged to see all the different organizations that are here today. Thanks for joining.
Absolutely, thanks.
Vincent, do you or the group, do we envision that each of these categories will have potentially multiple people, or just one per category? The reason why I say that is because a lot of these things are interrelated, but I could see that, say, a transportation planner may not know as much about urban forestry, right? And so if it's one particular person that's selected to cover all three of those areas, that we may have more of a difficult time finding that person.
Good question, Janice. I do see more than one person in each category. That's why I'm asking, I asked the question on the air monitor. So first category. So yeah, I do see more than one person in some of these categories for sure.
Okay.
Victoria, was your question answered?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, as long as I feel like this list is so much shorter than the last one I saw in our last meeting, I just wanted to make sure it wasn't something that was removed, that it's something, you know, envisioned in one of these groups.
Thank you. Katie, with Breathe California, do you see your organization possibly in one of these categories?
Hello.
Hey,
Oh, okay. Breathe. Pat, you can take it.
well, I'm sorry, Katie. I was just going to say that I don't actually have the list in front of me because I'm on my phone, but happy to take a look and circle back.
I have the list in front of me. And looking at this list, I think we could fall maybe within the public health category, as we are a public health organization working with lung health.
Very good. Thanks for the clarification. Okay, Janice, are we on our time allotment, or we still have plenty of time?
Let's see. It says consolidate tag category list goes until 6:40, so you do have plenty of time. So you can
Okay.
move on, or you can come back to it if there are people, you know, think of other things as we're having the conversation.
Okay, well, I think we can come back to it if we guys want to, and if we think of anything else, we can come back and re-edit it and move forward with it. We don't have confirmation on all the different candidates, I believe, to post their bios on our
Website.
on our website right now, on our Zoom meeting page. We do have a few different candidates who have submitted their bios, and I believe a couple are online. If we want to ask some questions, we can. And I hope they're prepared for discussion.
Yeah, so right now we have Miss Valenzuela, Katie Valenzuela, and I do have her bio, and I did receive permission. So I'm just going to pull it up on my screen so you can see it. So I don't know, Vincent, do you want to introduce Katie? She's not on the call, I don't think.
Yeah, she's not on the call. She had another meeting tonight, but she's an environmental justice advocate, and she's worked with the California Environmental Justice Alliance, political policy and political director for the California Environmental Justice Alliance. She was recently elected to serve on the Sacramento City Council, and prior to joining CEJA, Katie served as principal consultant for the Joint Legislative Committee on Climate Change Policies and as Capital Director for Assemblyman Eduardo Garcia. A community organizer for over 20 years, Katie helped start the Sacramento Urban Agriculture Coalition, was one of the first Sacramento representatives on California's AB 32 Environmental Justice Advisory Committee, and is co-chair of the Sacramento Community Land Trust. She was born and raised in Oildale, California, and holds a bachelor and master's degree in community development from UC Davis. And so she has volunteered to be environmental justice in the category of environmental justice experts. And I think she would be a really good asset for the tag as well. So under transportation planner, we have Juan Carlos Garcia Sanchez.
All right. Give me 1 second.
And Janice is multitasking. Did anybody have any questions for Katie Valenzuela and her resume? I know she's not here, but, or any comments? And I am looking at the hands, and there's no hands yet, so.
Well, this is Eric. I've seen her speak before, and she's great.
Thank you, Eric. I feel the same too.
So the second one that we did get permission from was from Mr. Sanchez. And so if you want to go through that, this gentleman, Vincent.
I'm trying to multitask as we go too. Okay. Juan Carlos Garcia Sanchez is the Environmental Justice Policy Analyst at the Policy Institute at UC Davis Institute of Transportation Studies. His work provides an equity and environmental justice lens to the transportation research projects being conducted across California. Through his work, he is able to connect researchers with community voices that have historically been burdened with the negative effects of transportation policy. Most importantly, his work focuses on the ensuring that the benefits of a future low-carbon transportation system are equitably distributed in California's disadvantaged communities. Prior to his current appointment, Juan Carlos served as adjunct faculty in geography at various community colleges in the Orange and Los Angeles County. And Juan Carlos is on the call. If we have any questions for Juan Carlos, you guys can unmute and ask questions or raise hands.
Juan, do you want to maybe speak a little bit about maybe one of the transportation research projects that you think might have some connection to the South Sacramento, to this program?
Yeah, hi everybody. My name is Juan Carlos Garcia Sanchez. You can call me JC for short. Maybe not necessarily connected to emissions reductions, but definitely providing mobility options for disadvantaged community and making sure that we can continue greenhouse gas emissions in those burdened communities. One of the projects that I've worked on with colleagues at UC Davis is providing low-cost car sharing programs in rural disadvantaged communities in the San Joaquin Valley. So we're looking at areas in around Bakersfield, Tulare County, where UC Davis is able to institute programs at a low cost point to provide mobility, which is essential for individuals to be able to have access to, employment, places of work, places of going to school, and even basic necessities such as groceries and medical appointments. And so our goal is to provide individuals with mobility, but making sure that they are offered these technologies that are gonna provide emissions reductions and impact those greenhouse gas emissions in places that have already been burdened with the negative byproducts of traffic and congestion. So I'm not sure if that answers the question, but I'm open to any other questions you may have.
Thank you, Juan. So transportation is a big deal, and what we're talking about with the AB 617 Steering Committee, South Sacramento Florence Steering Committee. And I do think some valuable input could be given and used by our TAG and our steering committee on how some of the transportation issues in South Sacramento have been overlooked over the years and can definitely be improved, because there's definitely a lot of areas in South Sac that don't have the good transportation systems in place.
Right, and obviously also making sure that, you know, those transportation options that are offered are making a significant impact to the burden situation with regards to emissions, making sure that those options are clean, are low cost for the population, and are also sustainable over a long period of time and into the future.
Great, good stuff. Anybody else have any questions? Okay.
I have a question. Juan, where do you think, which category do you think you may fit into?
Good question. So obviously, I'm not a transportation planner. My background is in geography and urban planning or urban design. So I guess it's very intersectional where I would sit, but I'm happy to be of support wherever it seems necessary. If I were to choose myself, I would obviously say transportation because of the current work that I do. But I'm open to any other suggestions. And obviously, as Vincent mentioned, this could be an opportunity to work in tandem and tag team this section of land use and transportation, considering that they are interrelated to each other.
Mm-hmm.
Great.
We also have one more bio that we got permission for. Let me bring that up. It's Miss Julia Gowan. I hope I didn't butcher your last name. There you go.
Okay, I'm sorry, I was getting ready to write something down. Julia Gowan. Julia Gowan is a regional urban forester for Northern California, Sacramento Valley for the California Department of Forestry and Fire Protection, CAL FIRE. In her capacity, she administers grants, supports communities, nonprofits, and other municipal groups to create and maintain sustainable urban forests. Prior to her current position, she worked as consulting urban forester. Julia holds a diploma in horticulture from the University of Hanover, Germany, a master's in horticulture with emphasis on urban forestry from Virginia Tech, and a PhD in forestry with a focus on urban forestry, also from Virginia Tech. She is a California registered professional forester and ISA certified arborist, holds a track certification, and is the chair of the Women in Arboriculture Committee for the Western Chapter ISA. Thank you, Julia. Julia, do you have anything you'd like to tell us about yourself or what you can bring to the tag committee?
Sure. So I am, as you said, the regional urban forester for CAL FIRE for about 3 years now. And we're really involved with a variety of projects with the overall goal to have a better urban forest, because we know how it impacts everyone. And it goes from public health to, crime reduction to, better air quality, soil quality, water quality. It's just kind of a roundabout joker ticket in a way for the urban environment. And so if I can be of service in any way on this project, I would love to be involved. And I'm happy to answer any questions you all might have.
The first question is, what category would you feel you that the urban forester would fit under? And also, no, that's it for right now. Thank you.
Of these categories, even though trees are very much directly related to public health, I would probably see myself in land use urban planning. But I'm also happy to participate in other categories like public health.
And I did have a question. Are there other projects you're working on within the Sacramento area and as far as urban foresting?
We have several grants in the Sacramento area. Besides the fact that it's urban forestry, is not directly related to public health, but all of them are related to air quality, since one of our main goals is the reduction of greenhouse gas emissions. So we have some urban wood utilization grants. We have neighborhood planting grants that I administer. We have urban forest management plans, tree plantings, and most of our grants include community outreach and engagement, well, outside of COVID, that is, community outreach and engagement. So there's a variety of grants that I get to work with in my area.
Great. Are there any other questions for Julia? Oh, and I see Janice has already put your name down under urban planning. Great. Thank you. Janice, would you like to add the other names for people we don't have permission for right now? And then we'll be working on those later. So
Yeah. So we have, this is a list that we discussed at the last meeting. And so we have public health, Alex Kelter. So I'm going to put him under that. We also have listed Dr. Taiwo, and I think Samar had suggested that name, and I think Joelle as well. So do you want me to list that down as well there?
yes, yes. We haven't got the permission to use her information yet, but yes, please. And hello, Joelle.
Joelle, you're on mute.
Hi, everyone.
There you go. Hi.
Thanks for joining us.
So for data simulation, statistician, economist, I don't think I have somebody. Do you recall, Vincent, which person that would be?
No, I thought we were going to put Juan Carlos under there, but I think he's under land use now. So
okay. And then there's a air quality monitoring expert. There was Earl Withacombe and Joel Craig.
Joel Craig.
Yeah, so I'm gonna put them in there.
And did anybody else have any other experts they wanted to suggest we could contact or add to our list?
There was also, I'm looking at the local organizations representing community youth input. There was sorry, I'm trying to take a look. There was a suggestion for the La Familia STEM program, and I believe the Green Tech Youth would likely fall in there. And then there was also under community organization advocates, there was also Brown issues. So just want to throw that out there. So there are organizations, but I don't have a specific name for that category.
The local organizations representing community and the youth input. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you can add those names there, and I'll reach out to them in the next week and see if we can make some contact.
Okay. And does Anybody remember, would Brown issues fall under community advocate, org advocates? Or would this fall under local organization representing youth input?
It would be youth.
Okay.
Thank you. And a social justice advocate, do we have anybody suggested to, has anybody contacted anybody?
I would like to volunteer as a member of the Red, Black, and Green Environmental Justice Coalition.
Okay, and which category would that be in?
The social justice advocate, environmental justice. Would that be right, Joelle?
Yes, Janice, thank you.
And Vincent, you have Victoria with her hand up.
Thank you, Mark. Victoria?
Thank you, Mark and Vincent. I've got a question for Pat Shelby. You mentioned earlier that you asked the school district and they're very busy right now, but I was wondering, was that Elk Grove or SCUSD?
My contacts were in Elk Grove Unified School District. I don't have particular contacts in SAC Unified.
Okay, I would like to volunteer to ask their project greening specialist with SCUSD and come back to you at the next meeting if you'd like that.
That would be fantastic.
You got it.
Great. The grid business representation, is grid in there because we thought we were going to put grid alternatives or something like that, or I do know we need some business representation. That would be helpful.
I don't recall exactly why we have grid in there. In the notes that I I sent back to you, we had business representation, and specifically there was listed about the automotive repair industry and the coating industry.
Mm-hmm. Let's add that to on our list, and then we'll make that clear as what we're looking for, and we can remove grid. Yeah.
Oops.
Okay. Are there any other areas or volunteers or suggested people to contact him for these categories? Nope. Okay. Well, Janice, where are we at on our schedule?
We are probably way on time. So we at 6:40 to 7:10, we were to talk about the potential tag candidates and create a prioritized list. And then at 7:10, how does the steering committee interact with the tag group? So
Vincent, you're ahead of schedule.
Yeah.
We are, huh? Yay. So, and we do have a few areas we can go back to and talk about, I think, if we need to. Roll with the steering committee is our next. Everybody was okay with leaving the last part of our agenda?
Yes, and I'll get back to you. This is Pat Shelby speaking. I'll get back to you with the follow-up information that I have, and to round out even more people for a resource.
Great, great. Okay, so then we'll move on to the next agenda item. And there's roll with the steering committee. And so we were talking about how does as a design team for the tag, how does the steering committee interact with the tag group? And there were some other, we had suggestions at our July steering committee on how the interaction would work. And Janice has a couple of slides for us to look at, and we can go over each item just to design how the tag and the technical advisory group and the steering committee would work together. So the tag, can everybody see the screen? The tag recommendations.
So
What? You want me to read it, Janice?
yeah, so I think some of this information we are already doing, right? So the steering committee vote to intend to create a technical advisory group, and then later in a couple of later slides, we talk a little bit about what are the next steps, and some like step 1, hold a design team meeting. We've done that already, or we're doing that right now. So I just wanted to call that to your attention.
Yes, you're right. And then, so yes, this was at our July meeting and the steering committee meeting. So some of these things we're already doing, but I think this is a good start just for us all to see how the interaction with the steering committee and what the role of the tag will be. And so just starting from the top, Pat, is that your dog? Recommend that the SC vote its intent at okay, we did that. So the tag will meet separately from the regular steering committee, and we have not determined if it's going to be monthly or bi-monthly or something like that.
Do you want me to write in to be determined?
I believe so, yeah. I think we're still working on that.
In part, this is Pat Shelby speaking. In part, it would seem that that also would be with some of your expertise and their availability, what is reasonable for them to be able to, because everybody who's doing this probably has a full-time job someplace else trying to fit this in too. So that kind of information would be helpful.
Yep. The tag's agenda would be questions sent to it by the steering committee. And so our hope is that from the steering committee, we get questions that are going to be asked of the technical advisory group and then presented at the tag meeting, or maybe, yeah, I'm envisioning that we'll be sending out the questions electronically prior to the tag meeting. And then when we come to the tag meeting, we could all discuss what those questions were or find out what the results and answers to those questions are. Or have something to work on for some times when it gets to the urban planning questions and things like that. How do we get those things done? The tag would provide guidance and be advisory to the steering committee. So the tag is, what does that mean to people? For me, I'm reading it as it's provide guidance and be advisory to the steering committee. So what our results are going to be our results. What the steering committee does with it is what the steering committee does with it. That's how I read it. Am I correct? No hands. So here is another one. The tag design team will do the work of designing and creating the tag, and that's what we're doing right now. Purpose of the tag, help with the implementation of CAMP. The CAMP has already been implemented, so that part we're not going to be doing too much. Oh wait, no, we're starting to do the CAMP, I'm sorry. Right. So communicating technical monitoring and air quality information in plain English so the public can understand. So that was number one question from the steering committee already. Integrating public health expertise to help public benefit from air quality monitoring. Help the steering committee gain technical knowledge about monitoring as it is being implemented, and provide independent scientific and technical expertise and interpretation of monitoring data and results. So that would be the purpose of the tag, correct? Any comment? We're moving right along. Help the steering committee as it moves towards a SERP. Help the steering committee gain technical knowledge it will need to consider emissions reductions in a tight time frame. Bring in outside areas of expertise that will be important to emissions reductions strategies such as land use. And we've kind of talked about all those different things today. I feel we have a little bit. And it looks like we're moving in the right direction. Do we have another slide, Janice?
We do, and I think that this part was covered in the tag category list that we had talked about earlier. I think the one thing that I see that may be slightly different that I want to call out is the community outreach and communication. I know that that was a point of discussion last meeting, so I don't know if that's something that you may want to consider.
Including in our areas of category, areas of expertise on our
Yeah.
This is Pat Shelby again. I think in part, because I think I'm maybe the person who raised that issue, I would look to the tag to also be looking at our communications to see if they are appropriately sensitive. Are they directed and accessible, and give us, you know, input that way with trying to help people digest what we're trying to communicate.
Thanks, Pat. And Janice,
Do you want me to add that as a category, or
for right now? I think for right now, yes.
Okay.
Oops.
And as you're typing it, I'm looking at the local organizations representing community youth input. Would that be similar to that category?
I think, this is Pat again, I think a lot of that feedback would come from our environmental justice, social justice advocates, our school people, and our local organizations representing youth would have a lot to say, I think, a lot about how we're communicating and is that coming through.
What was the second part after communication, Janice?
Let's see. You have regulatory, law, and public policy.
No, it was community outreach and communication.
Oh, community outreach. Yeah, sorry. Does anybody have any thoughts about potential candidates, since we're on the list about potential candidates for that?
Pat, what were you saying about this category, that you thought maybe the social justice advocates and the local organizations would be participating in that category as well?
I think that sending it, for instance, if we are getting ready for an outreach program into the community or to a segment of the community, being able to utilize tag expertise to look at things to see if are they culturally sensitive? Is it digestible information? Are we reaching youth if we're saying we're trying to reach youth? What are our communications mechanisms that may be more effective? I see it as a sounding board to the community communication and community outreach. I'm not sure that specifically there is a person at this time that we would need to fill that position.
Okay.
So it sounds like, Pat, that what you're sharing is that potentially could be filled in other categories based on their experiences with the groups and organizations that they're working with.
Correct.
Yeah.
And Vincent, you have a hand raised from Victoria. Sorry if I interrupted someone.
Victoria?
Thank you. I definitely know that Valley Vision can help with that after their latest webinar, making sure that that equity lens is on the community outreach. But I would like to volunteer Sacramento Tree Foundation with any communications or outreach that you're already doing in Sacramento or South Sacramento, because that's where I'm working as well to solve this problem. So I wanted to volunteer us, but I also, the reason I raised my hand is I wanted to bring up that a lot of these people fit into multiple categories, right? So instead of maybe listing one name under each candidate category, we could have a list of candidates and all of the expertise that they represent to the side of it, instead of, you know, assigning someone to a particular expertise. We have a lot of people here who have multiple expertise. So we might want to just kind of rethink the whole way we're assigning people, because we have a much wider array of talent here than we're distributing on this form.
You have a second hand up as well, Vincent, from Adrian.
Adrian.
Thanks, Vincent, and thanks Victoria for potentially volunteering us. I think if we're invited to participate on the tag, we'll happily consider it. So just wanted to put that out there.
Thank you. So let's potentially put them down. Thank you very much. Yes. And Victoria, thank you for the suggestion on how to redo our list and our candidates. And we may look into how we can do that. But Janice is typing his way as fast as she can as we speak right now. So we'll give her some time to think about it. Thank you for the suggestion. Go, Janice, go.
Oh, do you want me to redo all of it?
No, but the suggestion from Victoria was along the lines of maybe how we're listing the candidates and what they can do. And we're kind of putting names next to categories instead of what people can actually do. Is that what you said, Victoria?
Absolutely. We have a long list of expertise here that I don't think is being shown off by the categories we're trying to put them into.
So Janice, this is Mark real quick. I think what we can do is, I don't think it's probably retyping up a new list right now.
Right.
But I think hearing Victoria and Vincent's idea on that one is it's more like a table where the categories are across the top and it's just different check boxes that people meet, and just making sure that you check all the different boxes you want checked overall, but that people may have multiple areas of expertise that they can help on.
Yeah.
And so we can work with you, Vincent, to create a table for the next meeting that will meet that need.
Great. Okay. Regulatory law and public policy, that would go under urban planning and
Oh, sorry. Here you go.
land use, urban planning.
Yeah, I would imagine that city and county staff would have a lot of experience in the different types of policies, regulatory, boxes that they work within. So I'm sure that they could be definitely a resource for that.
Okay. Okay, so back to if the steering committee votes to, then they voted to create the tag. Okay, so it looks like we're done. We've followed mostly of the last part of that slide is the steering committee did vote to create a tag. We are doing the design meeting now. We're defining a management team and work procedures. We haven't done that yet. Define a management team and work procedures for the tag. We are in the process of recruiting and assembling tag members. And our kickoff meeting to define goals, working procedures, and reporting protocols. We're working on some of that now. And then we'll have the TAG members sign a MOU partner agreement with the steering committee and hold regular meetings, monthly or quarterly. Does anybody have any other questions on how the tag is coming along or the design of our tag and what I should be presenting at our next meeting? So that would be on our next slide, right, Janice? The following.
Yeah. So so I think you got a lot of the meat together to talk about, you know, how the tag is going to interact with the steering committee. That's your top here that you sent in. And so moving forward, the next steps, what would you like to, what would you like to present at the August steering committee meeting? Yeah. Or report back.
So the report would be initially the candidates that we've talked about today and we've assigned to the different areas. Hopefully we'll have the bios and other information for the people who volunteered. We are really looking for more names and volunteers for any suggestions from the community or people that are on the meeting for different candidates as well. So, I mean, so we've come up with quite a few names, but I think if we had the more it would be on our tag, the better it's going to be. And there are definitely some categories that are short of or have no names on their after those categories. So our next meeting topics hopefully will be the questions from the steering committee. And I have a couple already. The United Latinos have asked me to ask a few different questions as well. But looking at the calendar, and we were hoping to have a tag meeting in September. So the second Wednesday of the month would be the 9th.
Sorry, what date did you say that was, Vincent?
September 9th.
Okay, September 9th would be the next, oops.
Would be our first official tag meeting and not as a design team, correct?
If I may suggest, Vincent, I think we can put the hold on our calendar there. And I think that's probably a question once the proposal comes before the committee, because if the committee may or may not have questions ready for the 9th for the tag.
Right, okay.
Just food for thought.
I just want to make sure we had a date available for them. And then I do believe we brought up at the steering committee, we were hoping to have the tag going by September. So that just, we have something to suggest for the steering committee to vote on.
Absolutely. And we'll work on holding the date on our end in the Zoom.
Okay, great. So that was the next dividing tasks.
Yep, I think that's all we have for dividing task. And then we had some time for general public comments if anyone wanted to provide any.
We have a lot of time for public comments. So is there anybody who'd like to make some comments now or suggestions? You can unmute yourself or raise your hand. Juan Carlos, first hand.
Yeah. Hi, Vincent. Thanks again for the opportunity, but I also wanted to, I would have to circle back with you, but I do have a name of a colleague that might fit the data/economist role that you are looking for. But it's something that I would have to circle back with you just to make sure that I don't give a name before I run it by them. So perhaps within the next week, couple of days, I can circle back with you with a name. You might be able to reach out to them, and I'll make it known to them that there's a possibility that we might reach out. Or I could actually let them know what this is about and extend the invite.
Great, thank you. Janice, I do have a question or for everybody, and everybody who's on here that for the first time, or if I don't have your email, please send me an email so I can add you to the email list. Katie Smet, I don't have your email. Victoria, I have yours. Zulian, I don't have yours. Patrick Guild, I don't have yours.
Vincent, what is your, I have to pull up my email.
Okay, it's not a capital V, it's just a regular V.
Okay.
V Valdez 63 at sbcglobal.net.
All right.
Yep, that's it. So yes, please email me your and send me your information so we can add you to the email list, and that would be very helpful.
Vincent, you have Adrian with his hand up.
Adrian, I see your hand.
Thanks, Vince. So Adrian Wren from Valley Vision. Thanks for hosting these. You do a fantastic job, and I like that we have access to the chat and everything. Just wanted to share, as I have before, that Valley Vision, Breathe California, Walk Sacramento, and Green Tech are working on a capacity building around AB 617 in a couple of other neighborhoods around Sacramento, in Oak Park and in North Sacramento. And we're also interested in putting together sort of an advisory group. And so just wanted to state that we want to work as closely as we can with Vincent, with you, and with the rest of the South Sac Steering Committee, just to make sure that we're, everyone is being heard and that people are getting the right information. So we look forward. I will likely be reaching out pretty soon with regard to that. So thanks.
Thank you, Adrian.
You have Dave Ridley, and I don't know if it's a new hand raised, but Juan's has a hand up next to his name as well.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Dave?
Yeah, hi, Vincent. I was just looking back through my notes from the last meeting because I was sure that someone spoke that fell into the economist bucket of people for the tag, but I couldn't find a name, but I just didn't want someone to kind of slip through the cracks. Was this one who spoke last meeting that kind of fit that role and you had their CV?
I thought we were going to put Juan Carlos in that role, actually, but Juan, did we have it wrong? The economist?
Yeah, I don't have any training in economy or data analysis, so I would be definitely a better fit under either the environmental justice or transportation / urban planning.
Okay, great, thanks.
I'm just pulling up the other ones that we have to see if I can quickly find. I also thought that I had saw an economist on there as well. Just give me 1 second.
Janice, Vincent, or anyone who was on the call last month, do we have a name besides potentially Juan's, or was it that someone had an idea in mind that they were going to check to see if they could be added to the list?
I recall a young man speaking up, maybe worked CPUC or CEC, stating that he had some experience in economics and he'd be interested in serving.
We could review the video and see if we could find the name, Vincent, for you.
Thanks.
Yeah, I don't see a bio for that.
Okay. Samara, you have anything you want to share with us?
No, I'm just totally blown away by how well these meetings have gone, Vince. So really kudos to you and to everyone who's participated.
Thank you.
So Vincent, it sounds like we have a few things to follow up with. One is that we're going to work with you to make a table of the list of experts and the categories that they fall into. We would have this recommendation in terms of how the tag would interact with the steering committee. I think that's something that you could report back on along with that sheet. I will go back to the video and see if I could find the economist name, and I'll send that to you. And then I think one of the things that the steering, I mean, there were a few people that said that they were going to reach out, that says like Juan Carlos Garcia Sanchez said that he was going to reach out to a colleague, and then you were going to reach out to other local organizations such as La Familia, Green Tech, Brown Issues, the coding business representation, and then was it Victoria?
Sacramento City Unified School District.
Unified School. Okay, so I'll write that on there.
And Pat was going to contact Elk Grove in a month.
I don't have your last name, Victoria. Trying to look on Zoom.
Well, you know, I never put it on there because I'm a VV, like Vincent Valdez, and I don't want to confuse the two of us. So Victoria Vasquez, it's Vasquez, but V is totally fine.
Okay. So, and then Pat. Patricia, Shelby. Okay. All right. When would you like that information from when are you planning on hearing back about some of these representatives, Vincent? Because I know that we'll have to work together to put together that list. Is there an anticipated date that you're hoping to hear back from everyone?
Good question, Janice, and thanks for helping me stay on track. So today's the 12th. If we could have information or candidates, or you get back to me by Friday the 21st, that would be fantastic. Which gives us about 10 days.
I'm like, what month is it? You said 21st?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that would be August. I think I'm looking at August. Yes.
All right. So everybody send Vincent their names, and then I'll work with you that probably that Monday to get that list together. Okay, Vincent?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right.
Okay. Are there any other public comments? Juan, your hand is still up. I don't know why. Did you like to speak again?
No, I think I just gave him thumbs up, but great meeting. Happy to be involved and looking forward to working with everybody.
Thank you. Okay, so if that concludes our public comments, Joel, do you have anything you want to say?
I think
It
Joel.
looks like she dropped off, Vincent.
Okay. All right. Well, if that concludes our public comments area, would that be sufficient? We can end our meeting?
We can end it early.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you,
Fantastic.
everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you,
Thanks
Vincent.
for everyone for being on. Thank you. You're welcome.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good evening.
There's one new message here. You're welcome. Okay, dinner time.
Yep.
All right. So we are concluding our meeting today, and so just to remind everybody, we're going to be posting this onto our website for your review. And have a good evening. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Vincent. Great job.
You're welcome.